I'll just tell you, I have a mission today,
Alright.
and that's it.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming this involves pyromania, as always.
Pyromania? No.
JFL, you said you had an intro, so I guess you can start with that then.
Oh, okay. No pressure, huh?
Yeah, no pressure at all.
Hello, Calamity enthusiasts! My name is Not James, and welcome back to CalCast.
Yep, it's been quite a while, hasn't it?
It's been a minute.
Almost a full year since the last episode.
and we have a new friend.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, it's Shay.
I make Undertale videos, but I also really like Terraria, and I'm also a developer for Calamity and run the social media accounts.
So, Nycro, he's busy IRL, and he said that he doesn't really keep too much up with it, with the mod anymore. So he voluntarily stepped out, like there's no bad blood or anything. He is free to come back whenever he wishes. Well, there has been a lot that happened since our last episode. When we filmed our last episode, it wasn't even announced that Malice was being removed yet. Like, that's how long it's been.
Ah, good old Malice mode.
I think Malice really didn't deserve as much hate as it got. I genuinely think that if the only people who played Malice were the people that Malice was designed for, that, like, it wouldn't have received nearly as much hate as it did. But, like, way too many people kept charging into it, like, without nearly enough experience, expecting it to be kind of like Death is compared to Revengeance, where it's just, like, a mild increase in overall difficulty, and then get smacked upside the face with something way harder. Like, if people were more willing to accept that shock, that I don't think that Malice would have even been removed to begin with.
I think it was a big combination of that. Like, people were really negative towards when it came out. It wasn't what people were expecting, really.
I can understand when it came out, because TDR was really bad, and also locking items behind it wasn't very fun either. Like personally, I wouldn't mind too much about that rematch thing, but like I can understand it being annoying for other people who feel like they have to do this mode, but like once those were removed and it was just a purely optional difficulty modifier without the TDR, I think it was fine just as something to be there for those who wanted it.
Since it was just kind of there, it didn't really need to be removed, given the whole concept of it needing to be balanced properly was no longer like an important factor. It was just kind of there for fun, like what For the Worthy kind of will be or has been.
I feel like For the Worthy has given us an opportunity to kind of do what Malice was kind of originally designed for in a place that people won't be expecting, like a core third difficulty. Because when, you know, Malice was teased as this, like, third difficulty and people were expecting it to be balanced like that, and it definitely wasn't on launch. This kind of predates me being on the team. I wasn't a beta tester. I probably would have objected to TDR personally if it were me.
I will say that I think Malice was mostly fine aside from TDR. It was definitely hard, but it was fair if you had, like, enough preparation and boss knowledge. Like, it was certainly doable. It wasn't just relying on luck of the draw, hoping you didn't die most of the time. Now, for bosses like Profaned Guardians and Brain of Cthulhu, that's a different story, because those were genuinely terrible. Like, I will not defend them saying that they were any good at all, because they were not. But I don't think that that alone were enough to call the whole mode unfair, because for the most part, it was fair.
But in a sense, it still technically can be classified as revitalized in one way or another, just given there are more difficult modes that are coming out and existing as well. I mean, For the Worthy, granted, is nothing like Malice, but it at least contains some of that same feeling, I'd imagine. It's not the same as Malice, obviously, but like it still contains a bit of like that just kind of absurd difficulty type of deal. You know?
Malice really wasn't absurd, though. Like, it's a lot harder, but it's not absurd or anything, is the thing. Like, especially towards its later removals. Like, in the later versions, it didn't even increase projectile speed for most bosses, and it wasn't insane off-the-wall difficulty like some people thought it was.
Yeah, I don't think it was, like, insanely, ridiculously terrible, at least after TDR got taken out, right?
TDR kind of fundamentally caused the same problem as For the Worthy, which is just ridiculously everything takes 400 centuries to kill.
Mm-hmm. But we also didn't want to, like, focus on it too much. Getting rid of it was kind of just like a concession, like, we don't want to sit here balance testing it and making sure it's as good as the other difficulty modes. I think that was the contributing factor, although I wasn't around for a lot of the conversations because it kind of predates my time on the team. So if people want that ridiculous, like, BS difficulty, oh, trust me, you're getting it with GFB. I had the unfortunate pleasure of trying out Death GFB Hive Mind the other night, and oh my god.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
It is. It's something, that's for sure.
Do we want to segue into Infernum then, or do we just know? Or do we just
I mean,
think that we don't have enough experience to really say anything meaningful about it?
I mean, I don't really have anything to say on Infernum. The only thing I will say is that I know there's a lot of effort that was put behind it, and it can be looked at as the new Calamity difficulty, you know, the one above death. Given that it's technically, like, it's official, but it's not exactly associated with the main mod, I just think it's a bit weird, given the fact that, you know, you have this unofficial mode that is technically the hardest one for Calamity, and it will create kind of like a community split in a way. Since, you know, you have people that will be, you know, playing more Infernum than Calamity, and given that that's over now, well, the questions come with whether or not that thing will be updated for future versions as well, or not.
I think they have said that, like, someone will still be updating Infernum to future versions, although they won't be adding anything new. Like, it'll just be purely porting.
Okay.
Yeah.
At
Well-
least that's what I've heard.
Well, then at least it'll be around, yeah. That's
what I've heard
That's
as
good
well,
news.
Yeah, they're gonna keep it updated, like, so you can keep playing it, but it's not getting any more feature content, because a lot of them just want to move on to other things.
Yeah.
Which is-
Personally, though, I really wish that Infernum was, like, its own completely separate thing from Calamity. It's just so much different than normal Calamity. Like, JFL, you talked about how Infernum is kind of like the bearer of the title of hardest official, in quotes, Calamity difficulty, but, like, it changes so much. It's not just a boss difficulty modifier, and the thing is, it also radically changes the bosses as well. Like, it's not like Death is to Revengeance, where they're just a tiny bit more aggressive, and, like, they have slightly different patterns and that kind of thing. Like, it completely throws out the AI and rewrites its own, which is why I haven't really tried it yet, because I don't think it looks very interesting to me.
I absolutely agree with what you're saying on that point as well, but, like, given how different it is, you can also see a bit of a community split that might happen with it as well, where people may see stuff from Calamity and wonder, oh, this is actually from Infernum instead, like, because it's required as a package, but at the same time it's not part of base Calamity. I've seen tons of people wondering about questions in Infernum, even in the Calamity Discord.
Yeah, like, that's the thing that I'm mainly referring to when I say that I wish that they were completely separate, is because, like, so many, like, there's so much community overlap, but, like, the mods are so fundamentally different is the thing. I really wish that Infernum was seen to Calamity as Fargo's Souls was, just like a completely separate thing that, like, not even an add-on.
I think some of that also comes from a lot of people will tag content in Infernum as Calamity. I notice that a lot, as like when I go on like YouTube and stuff on the Calamity account to like check what people are talking about, and you get a lot of like, check out this new Calamity boss fight, and it's just Infernum.
Yeah.
I mean, Infernum's great, and it's like, yeah, official in quotes. It's officially endorsed. It's not like an official part of Calamity, but we do endorse it because it's cool. They put a lot of work into it.
The style in which they approach boss fights is very distinct as well, which is unique, and that's good. Being able to differ them in terms of their styles is a great way to kind of change the pacing, and I really, really like that. I haven't tried it for myself personally. I may one day, but, like, just another thing to the list, you know?
I really do want to try Infernum. Like, by the way, to my audience watching this, I am planning an Infernum playthrough, but it will be streamed, it won't be edited. Alright, keep going.
GP, would you prefer that it would be, like, changed now, that the public kind of splits Infernum now, or you just think that that's something that would have had to be done when it was originally created? Do you think it can still change, or is it just a fact of the Infernum's creation?
I think that the sole fact that Infernum isn't really receiving any major content updates anymore pretty much eternally dooms it to be a Calamity add-on, which means that this division within the community itself will always be here.
And
true.
why would you label it as a division, just out of curiosity?
Just because, like I said, it would be like as if Fargo's Soul mod was an add-on to Calamity. Just, like, imagine that. Fargo's Souls is completely different from Calamity, but, like, imagine if it was still an add-on for whatever reason. Like, it's just two separate communities that I feel like should be more split than they currently are, and that they're kind of forced together, just because Infernum is a Calamity add-on.
But then again, I wouldn't call it a bad thing either that the communities are together, because it means that, you know, there isn't any bad blood between the communities, which, you know, you've seen with other games as well. And I think that's still an important factor, but at the same time, you know, it'd be nice if people more accurately distinguished like what was from what.
Yeah, that would be nice. but yeah, I get what you mean, because like I do admit that it does seem like the Calamity and Infernum communities get along better than, say, the Fargos Souls and Calamity communities, for example.
For some reason, a lot of mod communities just don't get along that well together. It's very strange.
Oh, that was a mistake.
Have fun.
Thank you.
Sweet.
I had fun. I have to change the health bar again. Freaking hate vanilla health bar. Calamity health bar is just objectively good.
Yeah, we really like the MGR health bar.
It's so good.
Yep, it really is, and I really wish that T-Mod would stop changing it every single time it updates. Like, even whenever it does those, like, random 200-byte updates, for no reason that it does every now and then, I wish it wouldn't constantly do that.
Could set the Calamity health bar to be the default.
Can Calamity do that?
I'm not sure if we can.
Okay, well, retracting that statement.
That would be a great question for the people who program.
I'll just I'll shoot a DM now.
Well, speaking of communities and tension, do we want to talk about 22?
Oh god.
Oh boy.
I mean, Shay, you said you had some stuff to say.
I mean, yeah, I do have insider perspective on.
Yeah,
all that.
just really quickly breach all the NDAs that you had to sign to be on here. Like,
NDAs.
No one's gonna watch this anyway.
You might want to sum up what 22 actually was, because I feel like still a lot of people don't even know.
So essentially what happened was about half of the developers of Calamity, mostly the art team, left, citing a variety of different reasons, mostly stuff like internal divisions and such.
Yeah, it was only publicly known at the end of November / beginning of December. For all intents and purposes, it happened in September. It had happened a long time ago. The development server. Oh man, it was not a good time, because you had like a group of people who were basically like, yeah, we're gonna, we don't want to work on this project with y'all anymore, and it was just like a very hostile environment. And that's when I joined in. That was when I became a developer. That was my first impression, and I was like, oh shit. So this is what's going on. 21. I was originally thought to be 22, but turns out, nah, actually 21. One of them was just inactive.
One was inactive, and 22 already has that Mimi status in the Terraria community.
Yeah, because of the little funny bee.
Yep, and so people just lumped it up to 22.
Mm-hmm. It was a big thing because it got publicity and people talked about it, even though they didn't really know what was actually going on behind the scenes. Or at the time, a lot of us just kind of didn't want to talk about it. People kept like asking. Obviously, people were gonna ask, and I mean, Fabsel put out an official statement about it.
Yeah, I'll put down screen right now, essentially apologizing for his part in the whole ordeal.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the best thing in that situation to even do as well.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty mature of him to have done that. We worked with some people to kind of address problems, because yeah, there were definitely problems. There's so many communication issues, and a group of people who just didn't really enjoy working with each other that much.
I mean, that's bound to happen in such a large team as well. I mean, you're going to have different opinions, and those opinions are going to clash, and if you can't come to a consensus, you're not going to make progress.
Mm-hmm. There was a lot of disagreements about, like, the future and how things should be handled, and a lot of what-ifs as well. A lot of people, like, let perceptions of other people impact how they felt in that regard, which is never the best thing to do. Like, I'm worried about X person doing X, and then allowing that to actually, like, make informed decisions on how they progress. It's like, well, you're just worried about nothing.
You're speculating about what could versus what is.
Yes, exactly.
And like, I guess that's just quick PSA and good lesson in general is just worry about what's currently going on. It's important to consider what might happen. It's just generally better to worry about what is currently happening, because that's where your focus is going to be. Like, that's where you are.
I would also say that it's important to, like, realize when things are dysfunctional and not tolerate them, like, for multiple years.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
Probably should
Just
mention that too. Yeah.
yeah, because like if you just let tension fester, it will never end well.
Oh my god. I remember I joined in, and my first thought to myself was, how the fuck have these people worked with each other for years? This is not... It's like, you guys do not get along. But honestly, people were like proclaiming especially on Reddit, people were proclaiming the death of Calamity. It's over. The dev team left. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah. I know distinctly I made the joke, who shall emerge from the ashes of Calamity, but come on, that was too easy.
Nah, things are fine on the team now.
Although obviously some concepts were lost, like most of the planned resprites. The only resprites that survived the initial 22 were Yarons and Cygnuses.
Yeah.
Were the only planned ones that still existed. I mean, a couple more like Desert Scorch came out after the fact, but like.
Yeah, that was done after the team split. Yeah, the plans for what we were gonna do with a lot of the bosses, we decided to just leave them because we didn't want to. Out of respect for the people leaving, we didn't want to use their concepts without their permission, or even if they had permission, there was a couple things we got some permissions for, which may make it into the mod. But as for all the boss stuff, those were just concepts, even though we sprited the fucking master relics.
It's nice though that no one, as far as I can tell, asked for any of their already existing content in the mod to be removed.
That would be against T-Mod Loader Terms of Service.
Really?
We probably would have done it out of respect, but no, nobody asked for it.
Huh, that's interesting. I never knew that.
But yeah, if it was in the game, they couldn't. Nobody asked to have it removed out of respect. It wasn't terribly awful, like we weren't screaming at each other or whatever.
All right.
So thankfully, that whole conversation was avoided, which was nice.
Why would it be impossible to remove? What?
It's like you can't force somebody to get rid of content that you made for their mod a long time ago.
Oh.
But we still usually do that out of like if somebody requests. It's like Siren was removed and replaced with Anahita. Because I think something with the original design, I don't know too much about that. That's past stuff.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I didn't know Anahita was a replacement.
Yeah, it was requested, but that's a whole situation I know absolutely nothing about, pretty much.
Yeah, you just know what happened.
Mm-hmm. And there were a couple other things that were victims of 22, like a couple of the Biome Reworks were scrapped, right?
Yeah, the concepts. We were still going to rework, the most recent update, which just had a bunch of overhauls to a bunch of different biomes, which people really liked, and I'm happy about. I really liked them.
Yeah, I think they're rather cool.
But we have some more ideas beyond that.
I think they look pretty cool, honestly, especially the Brimstone one, how it's kind of like a bridge, like a ruined bridge or something.
It goes hand in hand with the new lore, but we'll talk about that later, I'm sure. Every single biome got a little bit of love. Well, all the Calamity biomes, anyway. Some more than others.
My man, the ocean.
Yes, sorry, ocean. But everything at least got some resprites, like the Sulphurous Sea, the Sunken Sea, and the Astral biome had a bunch of tile resprites and stuff.
I'm kind of excited for the Profaned biome as well, because that will come with a rework of Ravager, which I know is currently probably the most disliked boss in the mod at the moment.
I can tell you he's the most disliked boss from the team. we all agree.
Yeah, I personally don't hate him, but I acknowledge that he really isn't that great.
He's the most lacking for sure.
Yeah.
Ravager's my boy. I like Ravager. He's cool.
I think he has a dope theme song.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much every single one of Dokuru's themes is great. Literally everyone agrees on that, except people who hate Calamity because it's popular, but, whatever. There's no point talking to those people.
Yeah, popular thing. Bad.
Yep, popular thing bad. You are now 400% cooler for having that opinion.
Upvotes to the left, baby.
Yep.
Is anyone else getting really tired of the MCU? my criticism with Ravager has always been he tries to artificially confine your space without confining your space. And in this game, that just doesn't really work that well. He wants to be an arena-based fight so badly, but he just isn't.
And additionally, you can pretty easily just trivialize his rock pillars just by ramming right through them with Asgards.
Or by putting a platform. I don't know if that still works, actually. That could be a bit old. like four block platform above you, then the rock pillars will spawn like above, but they'll still just fall, and then they'll fall on the platform, so you can just keep running.
Also in phase 2, you can just kind of stand in one place, like literally stationary, not moving at all, and he'll just jump on either side of you and never actually hit you.
I know he's a bad boss, but I do love him. What would be like some plans regarding the biome reworks, like such as like Profaned biome? We already have a bit of a glimpse of that through Infernum of like what it could look like. I guess one question, if it can be disclosed, is whether or not concepts like that will follow a certain suit, or if those will take a different form to fit more of Calamity style. Loaded question, I know. Sorry.
That is, yeah. Hold on, I'm processing that. We have a lot of like plans for the biomes and stuff. I think we're definitely able to push the concept of what a biome is in Terraria. So, like the Profaned biome from Infernum isn't exactly what we had in mind. It's cool.
Yeah.
But we'll probably do something different, just because we don't want it to be the same thing.
Do you think that would be like the only place that profane enemies will spawn in, instead of constantly just spawning in Hell or in the Hollow after Moonlord dies?
They definitely won't spawn in Hell if there's a Profaned biome. I will lobby for that when we get there, because I'm sick and tired of getting ambushed by Scorn Eater from outer space.
It just jumps through 50 blocks and nukes you. I do love like the Scorn Eater respray from like a long time ago as well. Like I was really into Calamity when it was like, you know, much newer as a mod. Sprites were kind of new. People were not used to making that. This is back when like stress was a mechanic. I keep using that as like the timeline setter.
Yeah, as your baseline for when all this happened.
I just really like how the old version had a lot of chaos involved in it. And I'm gonna get on a bit of a tangent here, but okay, personal opinion. It's been a while since I've like actually really gotten involved with Calamity, and I don't really have a lot of the information on it right now like I used to. I'm not fully involved in like the community nor in the patch notes, like don't really care too much about what is changing, just because the fundamental of the mod, I feel like, is having some disagreements with how I enjoyed it in the past. Just overall, the like identity of the mod feels like it's becoming more generic. Right, there aren't as many chaotic weapons. Everything feels a bit more streamlined in terms of like the modern mod as well, and you know, even stuff like the shield from like the Wolfram armor, and you know how that sub bonus works and stuff like that. Just the whole Wolfram rework visuals are changing from a different style from like Terraria, and compared to Calamity's old existence, where the identity was more shifted into, okay, this is just more chaotic Terraria, we have harder bosses, crazier weapons, the numbers become ridiculous bullshit, the accessories have like 50 different uses, and they have like a ton of different stat changes. It was just very chaotic, it was very stat bloaty, and just like high number dopamine type-esque chaos, right? And I'll admit, I really like that.
Well, the post-ML balance curve nerf, like that had its own purpose where it just makes balancing easier. Like, bosses are still effectively the same, and numbers are still significantly higher than vanilla, especially if you're talking endgame, but like, it really doesn't make that much of a difference in terms of gameplay. It's just in terms of, you know, monkey see big number, woo.
Oh, no, absolutely not. But I'm not talking strictly in a sense of like that it directly impacts it, but more or less in the sense that it changes how the mod can be perceived. That's it. That's pluralization.
Well, I mean, in that case, if we're talking about making the mod still seem chaotic, I mean, people still really struggle with Profaned, and they call her a lot harder than most of the vanilla bosses, I imagine. Like, I mean, like, Calamity still definitely has that chaotic side to it.
Definitely, yeah. But like, there are other examples before, and I brought this up as well, but like stuff like, you know, Yarn and Devour of Gods getting their health bars back and stuff like that. Just the unique ideas that set Calamity apart in the early days are kind of being removed slowly and replaced with modern Terraria mods concepts. And as a result, I feel like it's becoming less unique, and that's personally driving me away, and I've talked to others on that subject as well, and I've heard the same for them. I've brought this up with Yushe as well, and we got on a tangent where you thought this was a horrendously stupid opinion. But yeah, I mentioned how Supreme Calamitus is like spread with the bullets. I just really hated that. that change. Still kind of do.
I still think it was completely unnecessary change. I mean, Calamitous is a very chaotic, or is meant to be a very chaotic boss, so why does she have this one orderly pattern? I will admit, though, I still think it's a trivial change, but, like, I just still see it as completely unnecessary.
Yeah. And like, again, I'm fine with it. It's just a little bothersome. Additionally, this is more just like a personal thing, but I kind of realized as well that, like, as a result of that change, it actually makes it harder for me, because my autistic brain tries to single out larger gaps, and since the gaps are all the same size, I can't distinguish which one I want to go for, and then I just freeze up the moment I need to dodge and end up just dying to it, because I can't decide on where I want to go. Yeah, that's my argument for Supreme Calamitous. Otherwise, like, it's fine. I also just kind of like Supreme Calamitous more than, like, human Supreme Calamitous, just because it kind of looks weird to see this, like, really big shield around the boss. I don't know.
But the lore.
Cultist got that shield too. It makes him a lot less annoying to hit, but at the same time, they forgot to buff his health, so he still gets annihilated instantly. But, like, spoilers for Jumpless Part 3, but, like, I killed him in under the minimum no-hit length using normal gear. Because he just dies. He just dies so fast because he has no health. But yeah, isn't his health being, like, tripled or something?
It's almost tripled, yes.
Spike Crag Staff.
He deserves it.
Yeah, the Baja Blast Shield was a pretty late inclusion in that update, and yeah, turns out it just makes weapons a lot better.
I mean, I think it's still a good concept because Cultist is very frustratingly annoying to hit, especially if you're trying to use, like, Chlorophyte Bullets or something, but, like, yeah, he definitely needed a health buff with that.
Okay, so funny story. Do you know when you're like in a Minecraft world and the chunks aren't generating?
That's what's happening to you.
Did you see that death message? That was me jumping into Nevada, like the giant hole to the right of the world, and then the blocks loaded back in and I died. Also, I do 5 chests by trying to mine one for 30 seconds and it dropped 4 of them. So, yeah.
Typical Alaskan internet.
Yep.
Do we also want to talk about the fact that I actually got to meet you in person?
Sure.
So I was in Alaska recently. This is also why it's been taking me 500 centuries to get this video out, by the way, is because I've, been away from home, so I haven't really wanted to edit. I've been on vacation. And I just happened to ask offhandedly, like, if he happens to be in this city that will have an extra day to be in, and he said yes, so I actually got to meet him in person, which I find absolutely hilarious, because he lives 5,000 miles away from me.
Yeah, I thought it was funny, because, like, of all the 2 members to meet up, I was the least likely, just because of where I lived, but...
Well, I think another thing that makes this even funnier is you are the first person I've ever met IRL after meeting them online.
Yeah.
Which is just even better, too.
And the funny part was that we just started talking about Calamity, like, as soon as we met up. And then GP was like, dude, you just go on CalCast. Like, you just proved you can talk about it.
I mentioned in our conversation that I thought that, like, a solid, like, 20 minutes of our discussion could have just been cut out and put in this.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, should have recorded it.
yeah, definitely. Should have him laying face down on the table in the restaurant we were in.
Dude, that would have been actually really funny.
But on that note, then, like, what did you talk about? Since we're here, let's bring those topics to light. What do we got?
Dude, that was
I remember we talked about Malice's removal. Yeah, this was like actually it was like 4 weeks ago now, but like we talked about Malice's removal, and that's like the only topic I remember.
I think people who crave that ridiculous bullshit difficulty, crazy zany stuff, oh, they're gonna love GFB because it is absolutely just off the walls nonsense.
I unironically have been trying it because I have just been so bored with death mode lately. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I've had, like, no fun at all filming Jumpless just because it's just too easy because I've done so many death mode playthroughs with challenges that, like, it's just not a challenge anymore. I'm looking forward to, like, something super hard that I can just dig my teeth into and die hundreds of times because I enjoy that kind of difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
I like it when it's hard. I like dying.
I will say that I also feel like Calamity focusing on bosses needs to be a bit more of a high priority and, like, actually making changes or additions in, like, a bit more of a, I don't want to say, like, strictly faster manner, like, out the gate, but, like, just kind of being more attentive to it, I suppose. But I'm also pretty sure that Fapsil's the only one who works on those, right? Am I wrong in that statement?
I've heard people say that he's been, like, less strict with it, like,
yes.
Since 22 happened, where, like, he's been letting more people actually touch the bosses.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Okay.
much more receptive to suggestions, and also he's let other people like program stuff so long as they like talk about it beforehand. And yeah, communication is much better now.
That's good.
It is very funny you say Calamity needs to focus on bosses, because that is one of the reasons why they left.
I don't know, to be honest, I think that Calamity, more than bosses, needs to just take a couple updates and balance everything. Because, like, right now I think Calamity has been in a rut for a little while regarding balance, where, like, there's always some strong weapon, and then it gets nerfed into the ground the next update, and then there's some other new strong weapon that also needs to get nerfed into the ground, and, like, Calamity has gone around this cycle, like, more times than I'm comfortable with, like, lately.
Has been weird because we've been waiting to balance a lot of things until the 1.4.4 happened, and that keeps getting... that's a whole thing. I think Summoner is very well balanced at the moment because it got a bunch of people looking at rebalancing it, and...
You mean 1.4.4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Summoner's all completely off the wall right now in the live version.
Like super OP.
And I also heard that 1.4.5 is gonna give like 2 more or 3 more like whips to late game vanilla as well. So be prepared for that hellstorm.
Well, that won't really matter for Calamity, because for Calamity the only whip that matters is Kaleidoscope.
Well, it might be nerfed into Oblivion eventually, but yeah.
It's the one you're going to be using. I think we just wanted to remove the critical hit function from it, just because it makes balancing like ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's fine as like an end game thing, because when it's an end game it doesn't matter, but when you have to balance content around it, well, if you have it, you do twice as much damage, and if you don't, you don't. And it's like, well, how the fuck do you balance around that? You mentioned earlier, you know, Calamity having, you know, vanilla will always be below Calamity in like power level. When the TML 1.4 was being made, there was a couple of iterations of how melee speed worked, and one of the iterations...
We talked about that in a previous episode with like how ridiculously off the wall they decided to make it so that melee speed, like by default, is useful, like isn't complete garbage like it is in like normal true vanilla.
That's one of the reasons we haven't balanced melee at all, because we've been sitting there waiting to see how they go forward with it, because it changed about 5 times in the span of a month. And that was great. But one of the changes to melee speed made Zenith affected by it. It did more damage than every Calamity weapon, including the dev weapons. It was the strongest weapon in the game. It was gonna be Shadow Spec tier originally.
Yeah, but like that eventually got scrapped for... Why was that scrapped again?
Because the melee speed got changed back.
Yeah.
So it fit pretty decently at Arctic tier, actually.
You just kind of did the weapon testing. Okay, where does it fit now? All right, perfect. Put it there.
Yeah, it was a little weaker than AOTC on SCAL and a little bit better on mechs, and we were like, well, that's convenient. Yeah, Calamity, like, we just had speaking of boss reworks, right? We just reworked the donuts, and everybody loves that rework. People keep talking about how good it was. I really like it. I think it's great. I play tested it and I was like, damn, this is a good boss rework.
I do like how all the Profaned Guardians... keep in mind, I haven't tried it yet, just because, again, I have not played this game, or at least Calamity, in a while. The rework in general, I think it's really cool how it attributes different pieces of, like, Providence's fight into it, and it makes it feel like they're actually, you know, her guardians, you know, they aren't just some random donuts, but, like, they are actively... you know, part of this lore. They use those attacks, and it feels good to see, and I like that. I will say though, it's really off-putting to see the Guardians look like football players, but like, you know, like football body suit armor. You see it too, right?
And they look like they have chest pads.
Yeah, they look like they have
Resprites
football
are
chest
sick.
plates.
I think they look good, but like I'm just saying, yeah, it kind of does look like chest pads.
I can see it, yeah.
I'm not saying it looks bad. It just throws me off. That's it.
Resprites throw everybody off when they happen, because you imagine it, like, it took me a while to get used to Ravager's Resprite, I remember back in the day. Oh god, I can't wait until the Yaron Resprite comes out, because people are really gonna have to get adjusted to that one.
Yeah, like, has there been any news on that, or is it still just in development hell?
It has gotten development.
Well, like, how much in, like, the past 6 months?
I don't want to say, because I don't want to put any strain on the artist.
So, like, it's at least being worked on, like, actively.
It is being worked on, yes.
Okay, good.
It's not like it's not in limbo. And Cygnus's, I can say, because we've talked about this and I posted on the Twitter, that's almost done.
And the Cygnus blade looks very cool. I'm excited for that weapon or that rework with the.
Oh my god, yes.
The weapon.
Poker went off the fucking walls with that thing. It's so cool.
Wait, sorry, what?
Poker Face is the spriter animator.
Yeah. Yeah, Darth Sidious. Yeah, it looks exactly like that.
Yeah,
and Darth
it's very
Sidious
cool.
pulls out his lightsaber. It looks exactly like that with the blade.
Oh, where it comes out of his sleeve, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm very excited for it. It's super cool. The Yaron Resprite has been difficult because it turns out feathers are hard.
And I mean, it's a absolutely humongous sprite as well.
Yeah, so in between it being worked on, other things have been worked on. The Heart is a machine when it comes to sprites and has put out a lot of them, like the Desert Scourge sprite she did. Was really good. And people liked it for the most part, except for the couple of people who said it was a downgrade, who I don't think have eyeballs, but...
Literally, no matter what you do, there's going to be someone who doesn't like it, but that's kind of just... You just kind of have to live with that, but they can safely be ignored.
You mentioned Calamity focusing on bosses. I think actually a lot of us kind of want to like bosses will obviously still get worked on and get balanced, all that good stuff, right? But a lot of us kind of want to expand how much game content there is in Post Moonlord between bosses, because right now Post Moonlord is kind of just like boss. You don't really go out exploring much, right?
Yeah, I'd say that's a smart goal. But at the same time, I'd just like to see a few changes as well here and there, just so that.
Oh yeah, for
like,
sure.
Some additional things here and there, just given how stale death mode has been over the last couple of years, especially with 22 existing. Hey guys, would you like to see the newly refurbished Crimson?
What have you done? Hold on, let me give myself a wormhole potion. I mean, let me find a wormhole potion in a pot.
Cut that out.
The merchant sells them now. So.
JFL is a pyromaniac, by the way, in case you didn't know.
What is going on?
Yep, the complete and utter non-existence of
hell?
Well done, JFL.
So I may have
Christ, there's just nothing here.
So
I
I
mean,
may have I may have done some decoration changes. You know, we're going for a
Did
new
a little
look
bit of
here.
mining off camera.
Yeah. We went for a little bit of a aesthetic change here. We can really emphasize the background in this art piece.
Oh, goodness.
You know,
Crazy.
yeah, it's very.
Yeah, Bronze, don't worry. This isn't your
very
internet.
nice.
There actually just aren't blocks here.
Good call.
You see, JFL, this is why I never trust you ever.
Oh, good. You didn't blow up the dinosaur fossil that Zyke worked so hard. Well, never mind.
I mean, well, JFL doesn't like the new structures for the most part anyway.
What?
Right, JFL?
Yeah.
What did the structures do
like,
to you?
I like how they look. I just don't like how obvious they are. I don't like that they are the relics. That's what I don't enjoy. Personal opinion, okay? Get that out of the way.
I'm actually curious, like, in what regard?
Okay, well, the bigger thing is that I just find it a little too easy to get them. So, like, the resources that are inside them basically just feel like, oh, here you go, here's this gear for free. And it's just too easy to get gear. And also, Big Hive, just like that alone also,
Alright, save the Big Hive for a moment.
Yeah.
It's funny to hear you say that because we were actually concerned if it was too difficult to find the shrines or not.
No.
We had a conversation about whether we wanted to add something that would, like, detect them. Like an item you can make.
Okay, personal opinion again, like, just, they are not too hard to find, that's it.
As for the giant hive,
Yeah.
we've had conversations about that thing. It is... I like it, but it's also kind of like a temporary, like, fill-in, basically.
What discussion has there been on that biome? Because I heard that there was something that was being done with it. I set out a like, suggestion just to straight up remove it because I didn't feel like it added anything, and it didn't seem...
Well, it does add something. It's just that what it adds kind of takes away.
Yeah.
We had a conversation about, like, whether or not it should stay. Basically, like, we kind of agreed that, like, the vanilla beehives are usually too small to fight Queen Bee in. But I think what we wanted to end up doing was, like, changing the vanilla beehives, but getting rid of the giant one hive. So it's not, like, piss easy to find, right?
Yeah, I think just making them like a tiny bit larger, or just like kind of procedurally generating their structures, like how Subnautica generates its where certain fragments are, for example.
Yeah.
Basically by just kind of making them randomized, but also in the same place. So like you could randomize certain formats of the beehives, but like those formats would always exist. So like semi-procedurally generated, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, we'll figure out something, but I do know there was some people unsatisfied with how that was. I personally don't mind. I actually like it. I voted not to remove it personally, but we had a conversation about it, and it's whatever, whatever we agree on.
I'm kind of indifferent on the issue personally, because I don't usually fight Queen Bee in pre-hard mode just because I don't need to.
Yeah, I agree. I usually don't play Summoner.
To be fair, she also does unlock the Witch Doctor for Wrath and Rage potions.
That's
if you're not
true.
using Alchem, because like I have been thinking that I'm just gonna be in future playthroughs dropping Alchem PC just because it isn't really needed anymore. Like I mainly used it because the combination potions in Calamity, like Yarum stimulants, they just suck to make. But now that they're
Those
gone,
don't
it's
exist
just-
anymore.
Yeah, do we also want to talk about that as well?
Well, I mean, I think the simple thing is that it's just extra bloat for potions, especially given that 40 is the new standard for vanilla moving forward. So having
44.
access to 44, but 44, same thing, really.
That's the main reason.
The point is, like, there are so many potion slots that stat bloat with potions could basically get you to double damage. It already does. Like, that could probably quadruple your damage with potions alone, making them super broken if you were to stack them that high. Especially given that Calamity just adds more stat stick potions on top of that. That was the reasoning that I understand, and I'd say that's a pretty justified reason. Yeah?
Yeah, it's a combination of that and, 44 buff slots in vanilla now.
Which I would also like to say is probably one of my favorite vanilla changes ever, because like even if you're not min-maxing that hard, it's not that difficult to reach 22 buffs, because it's also obnoxious whenever you have to choose between a buff and like having a pet. Like I really don't like having to make that choice. With candles and campfires and boss zen and even just the basic potions and like debuffs and stuff like Chaos State and Potion Sickness, the fact that all of these things all contribute to that count, it's very easy to go over 22. Which is why I'm like very happy that like, default is not going to be funny. But yeah, that's why I'm very happy that that limit's being raised, because it was very stupid and something tells me it wasn't intentional.
The mega potions existed, I call them that. They existed because of the buff cap, so that you could get all the buffs you wanted without running into the cap, but it was annoying. We had to nerf a ton of potions because of the existence of the mega pots. So now that those are gone, we can unnerf things like Iron Skin Potion, Endurance Potion, that kind of stuff that we had to nerf.
More specifically, Endurance, I think, was the most impacted by that.
Yeah, because it went back to 10.
Yep.
Endurance and Archery, probably. I think Archery got some compensation kept, though, didn't it?
I don't think we had nerfed that. Well, the problem with it before is, for some reason, it was multiplicative. I have no idea why, but it was.
Relogic moment.
Yeah, like the only multiplicative thing in all of vanilla Terraria is a potion effect, and that's why it was so broken. But Terraria is like super unclear on whether something is additive or multiplicative. Not anymore, though.
I wish that instead of just changing the potion cap, I wish what they did was they took pets, for example, and put them in their own slot, as well as summons. In their own like kind of buff category, so that way you could still keep like the 20 buff limit, because I feel like having access to every single buff in the game is still a little broken. Like just being able to pick and choose which ones you want is more tactical, I think, and I like that. It just kind of adds another layer, be it hidden or not. It's good that the issue of like having to combine potions in order to make sure that they all fit within your bar.
I think the potion combinations was like the wrong solution to the right problem. It was a solution, but like I don't necessarily think it was the best solution, if that's the problem it was trying to fix with the buff cap. But yeah, I do think this is a fine compromise where the previously nerfed potions are unnerfed now.
Mm-hmm.
Although I am kind of left wondering why this was done before the mod actually ported to 1.4.4.
We had been wanting to get rid of them for a while, and this was a good excuse. But also because 1.4.4 was supposed to come out in January. Oh,
That was a while ago.
That is a whole thing. Hey guys, don't worry, it's coming. All right, well, let's start rolling out the 1.4. Nope, never mind. Well, shit.
Thanks, T-Mod. Very cool.
Yeah, but hey, we're getting the port. The porting is finally, like, we have it fucking compiling to this week, finally, after all this time.
What's left? It's still like localization stuff, right?
We've done a lot of the localization stuff. It's more getting rid of the remaining errors and, yeah, just a bunch of stuff. I know there's the image he sent me that I tweeted out of he got into the test world and went over to the Astral Monolith, and the tile IDs had changed. We have to redo all the schematics.
A lot of mod developers are angry at like all the stuff that has changed, right? Because T-Mod changed like so much.
Yeah, a lot of damage formula changes. It's just a whole bunch of like changes to how things work. I feel like if you are making a mod now, and I talked to Ivan about this, if you make a mod now, it's easier than it was before generally. There's a couple things that are more complicated, but it's easy to make a mod now if you're brand new, but getting old mods updated is like dick and balls. It's awful. At least we have it compiling now so I can actually test stuff. Should be the last time we have to do this, hopefully.
Don't
Just
jinx,
you wait.
Don't jinx it.
I remember when 1.4, like regular 1.4 came out, Journey's End. We tried compiling it and Calamity had 192,000 errors and we're just like, oh, okay.
Well, you'll probably have to do this at least 10 more times, knowing the fact that Terraria will never, ever, ever die.
I hope at least those updates in the future that RE does don't, like, redo everything in the whole game. That'd be great. I don't know if they make, like, a 1.4.5 and it has some minor additions. It'd be like when 1.3.3 came out or whatever, right? Yeah, things are being done now, which is nice. Feels good to, like, work on things again. I had been sort of working on localization stuff. I rewrote, like, all of the tooltips. That's been a fun adventure. How do you guys feel about the feel about the new Aerialite?
I think it's better. Like I thought it was kind of weird how it just happened to spawn underground as soon as you kill some other unrelated random boss in the world evil.
I think it was weird, but I got used to it pretty quickly.
I like it up in the clouds now, honestly. I'm a fan.
Although I do kind of wonder why there wasn't like a check in there to make sure that the world was like created after the update, so that way people wouldn't get soft locked if they need to like farm arrow slimes.
I think the arrow slimes were the check. Yeah. It's just real fun sometimes when people will give you like a pointer with Calamity, like I'll ask for feedback and they'll suggest something that's just the complete opposite of what me or other people were thinking, and I was like, huh, interesting.
Like what?
Like the other day, I was talking with a friend about death mode harpies, and we were like, yeah, this is really annoying, and then somebody was like, oh, they're not nearly annoying enough. I was like, wait, really?
Did he like suggest an annoying update to them or something?
Yeah, they were like, can you make them spawn more in death mode? We're like, oh my god.
They're probably like one of those people who fail to realize that you can't really get them in the middle of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, PSA out there, you need freaking to not be in the center of the world if you want harpies.
In pre-hard mode. In hard mode, they can spawn
mode,
literally anywhere in the sky.
So have any of y'all read the new lore?
I did not. It didn't enlighten me. Have you?
I have read some of it, but like I haven't like read it all as like one continuous story.
I'm curious how people feel about it.
Like, I mean, there are plans one day to like implement them in a more nuanced way, I guess, instead of just having these little text blurbs randomly.
Yes.
Well, I'm just completely in the dark, like to a lot of people probably. I don't know anything about the new lore.
Well, there's the lore items have been all completely rewritten. Characters have been rewritten. A lot of things have been very vastly changed. Character personalities, etc.
I'm sorry, Shay, that you have to explain all of this.
Yeah. It's like, it's hard to explain because there's just a lot to it, and if I started explaining the plot, it'd probably ruin it for some people because they want to like read about it and learn themselves. But yeah, all of the lore items are from Yarim's perspective, and it gives you good insight into his character, even though he's not in the game yet. Maybe one day. He'll get in eventually, guys. Don't worry.
Anyways, yeah, I'm ready for a new topic. What's up, GP?
Okay, do we want to talk about how the Exos have been nerfed?
Ah, right, that.
I do think that now we've officially crossed the point where like they've been over-nerfed, especially the twins.
Yes.
Like in my opinion, twins, like prior to the most recent update that changed the Exos, I thought that they were a bit too extreme in Berserk, but other than that they were good. But like now I just feel like they don't really pose that much of a threat anymore.
Here's what I'll say regarding the Exos changes. For no accessories, I'm staying on an older patch for 2 reasons. The Exos are harder on the older patch, and 2, the ridiculous buffs are still in the game, and I kind of need some of those in order to make the challenge like more fun. And also, it just kind of like fits thematically since that run's been like existing for more than a year. So it's probably best to stay on like a patch that doesn't change like a whole lot of the biomes and stuff like that, and you know, invent a bunch of different weapons and concepts that like fit differently with what Calamity was when it started, etc. When it was still in 1.3, for God's sake, it's been a long time. Yeah, they're easier. And
Yeah, I just personally think they've been made a bit too easy. Twins were definitely the hardest part prior to it, and like I said, I do think that like Twins did deserve a little bit of a nerf in Berserk phase because they were pretty insane in Berserk phase. Honestly, like they were so fast, shot so many projectiles, and like especially with Artemis being predictive, it was just very challenging. But like now, it's just they've been toned down, in my opinion, too much.
that was another thing about Malice, wasn't it? Is that a bunch of bosses then had predictive attacks as well, right?
Yeah, a fair few bit had them.
Yeah, and that's been toned down a bit as well, hasn't it?
A lot of predictive stuff has been like, yeah, a lot of things had prediction on them to the point where it was a little bit too much. Like, I think Poltergeist for me was the breaking point where it was like, okay, this is too much.
I really like Poltergeist predictiveness on the dash personally, because then you couldn't just like
strong
straight up run.
It was strong to the point where I was dashing to
Dodge his dashes and he would snake eyes me, and I was like, that doesn't feel right.
What do you mean by snake eyes you?
Like, he'd lock himself in place like he was gonna dash towards me, and then I'd start dashing horizontally, and then he'd just like break his neck to dash the other way. For Exos, I think in the next patch they actually get a couple of buffs. I can't remember. I'm not 100% on that. I'll have to check. Yeah, a lot of changes were made because a lot of us, like, I hadn't actually beaten the Exos before the nerfs.
Which say have nerfs the most recent ones?
Yeah, for you guys it would be the most recent ones, but
Because there has been a few various rounds of Exos nerfs in the past, like I mean, because they were pretty ridiculous on release, especially without Ares' telegraphs.
like I hadn't beaten them before, and then that was the guinea pig for them.
But yeah, they could use a tiny bit of a buff, especially because like with twins being nerfed, like Thanatos has already been nerfed to the point where you can outrun him, even in Berserk phase. Like,
I mean, just build a really long minecart track.
Haha.
Wouldn't JFL know all about that?
I would know all about that. You're right. I just don't know what his like deal is, like how he differs from a worm boss besides just like not directly targeting someone and instead just kind of like letting his segments do the work. Because Thanatos has like some funky AI where he just like doesn't want to target you, but he wants to get close to you, and then he's just like, nope, too close. I still need my boundaries. We're still in the pandemic. I need my space.
We're actually able to balance stuff again now that the mod can compile and we can like properly test stuff. Because that's been a thing for a while where we haven't like, none of us have wanted to sit down and balance test things because, oh well, it's probably going to change because of a TML update or whatever.
But you would say it's a good general statement to suggest that we're still waiting on TMod 1.4.4 before things can really start moving again. Yeah?
Yeah, it's been a hurdle for sure. Yeah, it's been a barrier for a lot of things. It's why I think I posted it on the Twitter account, but I mentioned like, you know, 1.4.4 porting has taken a lot of our time, and we don't have too much to show for the next update, other than the things we don't want to show, obviously.
Right.
Keeping a lot of the GFB stuff a mystery, like what certain bosses do, because
Pyrogen.
well, people know about that, but I want people's reactions to some of the bullshit that those bosses do. Because like even when I booted it up, I was in a call with Fabsol, and he was like, Shay, I want you to fight Hive Mind. And I was like, well, what does it do? What'd you change? He says, no, I just want you to see for yourself. I was like, oh no, what have I gotten myself into? I won't say what it does, but
it does a thing.
Ravager does a thing. I implore everybody to check out GFB Ravager when that comes out.
Suddenly turns into Queen Slime, grows wings.
I'm pleased to say that Plinko is now fully functional, and there's places to hit the balls from on both sides of the crater, as well as
Let's
many
go.
holes at the bottom. You just
Okay,
have to
give me a golf
yourself
club.
golf club.
I want a golf club.
I haven't played golf ever since I crashed the game with it. When we were making the 1.4 port,
If you hit a golf ball into any modded tile, the game would immediately crash.
Oh no, no, no! I'm
you
so
throw
sorry,
down,
bro.
This is why I don't trust
It's a
JFL
good
with
thing I
Bro has
anything
dynamite in his
Pyromania
hot bar. What is going on?
Good thing I cheat
That-
sheeted this.
Well, that one was an accident.
related. I don't believe you at all. You are nothing but a bundle of malice.
Oh my god.
Malice.
I mean, I could just leave the call right now if you want me to.
Do it.
Okay,
Episode's
bye.
over, boys.
Bye. Alright, so now anyway, moving on with that disturbance gone.
Oh, thank God. Finally, we get to talk about...
Alright, next thing on the list. Rod is now finally unnerfed our boss fights again, which I'm finally glad for because 15 seconds was just so goddamn long.
Yeah, actually, we had a really, really long conversation about that. I think that one's my fault, actually.
I'm glad that it's at least back to 5 seconds outside of boss fights, but I still think that just 15 seconds is a bit too long for in-boss fights itself.
Wasn't it 20 at one point?
No, well, I don't think so.
No, that's Normality Relocator I'm thinking of.
Yeah, Normality Relocator is currently 20 seconds during boss fights, which I still think is a bit, a bit excessive.
I think we're probably going to stick with 15 for now. If, like...
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought 10 and 15 was a fine balance because like 10, like it's not like Rod is like an instant like get out of jail free card because like you still need to know when and where to Rod.
Yes, I agree with you on that. I've been trying to pill the rest of the balance people on that. Man, JFL just fucking left. He is gone.
Yeah, whatever. We can continue without him. his traitorous actions.
Oh, there he is. He's back.
He's back.
But
Yeah,
Did you miss
we,
me?
we knew you couldn't live without us.
I mean, you guys are really nice. I'd say each of you have all helped my mental stability in one way or another in the past year.
well, time to stop. Time to stop being nice. It's time for my mean arc.
Oh no.
Oh,
Let me go into the Calamity server at everyone.
Unnerfing Rod of Discord outside of bosses. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was my fault. I think that came about because I was like, why is this like this? I want to teleport. I want to
Yeah.
use it for utility.
I love
Yeah,
being able to
same.
just like spam Rod around caves, like when you have 600 health and you can just do it, because it's so nice for exploring.
Yeah, well, we can just move that to Rod of Harmony, which, oh boy.
That's one of the items of all time.
Do we finally want to start talking about stuff like actual 1.4.4 stuff itself, like Shimmer? Like, are we ready to talk about that?
Ooh, Shimmer, the enemy of the enemy of nonlinear progression.
If you want to remove that non-linear progression, I would also recommend removing the decrafting of cores into ectoplasm because that pretty much allows you to skip Plantera if
Yeah.
you fight Ravager first. Like low percent will just be like wall Ravager cultist moon
Yeah,
lords.
we're looking into making sure you can't sequence break. Yeah.
I mean, but then again, like, if you want to go through the trouble of fighting Ravager immediately after wall, I mean, it's your choice.
I mean, you get slaughtered. Honestly, if you manage to beat Ravager post-wall, take it. You deserve it. Shimmer's a cool feature, though. It gets us out of having to include a lot of decrafts for stuff, which is really nice. Now we don't have to worry about, well, what if I wanted to use my Terra Blade for Zenith, but I used it for Piss and Shit Fart Sword or whatever? Well, you can just decraft it.
Real item.
Yeah, Shimmer is a pretty cool mechanic overall. I wish people would stop being so apocalyptic, saying, oh, Calamity's gonna nerf Shimmer into the ground. My guy, like, there's one item that needs to be nerfed.
It's not getting nerfed, it's just being tier shifted.
I still call it tier shift and nerf. It's available later, but like, there's only one item that like actually needs to be changed in any way.
I don't like calling it a nerf because I feel like if you say we nerfed Rod of Harmony, people are going to think, oh, they made it useless, they crippled it or whatever, but no, we're just moving it to pre-boss rush. So you can abuse it for boss rush.
I assume it's just gonna be completely banned from no hits as well.
That's up to the no-hit community.
Yeah, I know you're not involved in that. I'm just saying in general.
Honestly, like, their challenge runs, I think a pitfall Calamity fell into for a while was balancing towards that crowd too much when that should just be a community challenge. Like, if they want to have a rule set and want to ban certain things, that should just be up to them.
What exactly are you referring to, Shay? Like, what challenges specifically where you think that the Calamity was catering too much to?
I feel like we nerfed certain
Oh, we
things
got it.
because, like, in a no-hit like scenario, they were too powerful or whatever.
Well, I mean, I do think also stuff like certain combos, like new Ironheart plus Old Duke scales, I think was a bit too powerful, but like I don't see.
That was more of an oversight, if anything. We all, honestly, all of us kind of forgot Ironheart existed. What a strange little item.
But like my question is like, why care then? Like if it's just there.
I think that, like, yeah, it's a community challenge at its core, and if they want to, like, specify, like, oh, let's ban Rod of Harmony or ban whatever, well, they can do that. That's up to them. And it's not just it's not just no hits either.
Nice.
Like, I feel like there's a lot of people who, I've kind of run into this sometimes with balance testing too. I have to acknowledge, like, okay, if you're really, really good at the game and you take advantage of, like, every possible thing, you shouldn't balance bosses around, like, the best players. You should make sure, like, this is beatable by your average Joe, right?
Yeah, I agree.
You run into problems when it's like, well, we can't have this. This has to be, you know, this is too strong or whatever.
Well, I'm assuming you're excluding things like Get Fixed Boy.
Yeah, that's crazy. People know what they're signing up for when they toggle that shit on.
Do you want to elaborate a bit more on exactly what Get Fixed Boy will do, other than just upload, or is it all confidential?
I don't want to reveal too much, but bosses get some pretty funny changes, and there's also a lot of funny world changes. Although we can't test out some of them right now because the currently compiling version of Calamity crashes if you try to generate a world with Calamity enabled. It's because of an IL edit to a dungeon tile. We fixed that. You just have to recompile it.
I mean, this is kind of just the reality of working with mod Terraria, is that random things will break for absolutely no reason whatsoever.
Actual pasta programming.
Yeah, like whenever you make any change to anything, like 4 other unrelated things will break for no reason, which is part of the reason I haven't bothered trying modded at all, like trying to get into modding.
Remember we had a long conversation about boss balancing when I think it was about Dimensional Soul Artifact.
I think Dimensional Soul Artifact is like terrible. Like it is borderline useless right now because the only people it's useful for is no-hitters. Like it is absolutely worthless if you're not no-hitting because it's additive damage. Like if it was multiplicative damage, it might be more worth it. But like literally anytime I see someone using it incoming, like I immediately tell them to take it off because it is just so bad otherwise. Like 25% additive damage is not worth it at all. PSA out there: if you're using Dimensional Soul Artifact and you're not no-hitting, stop. It is absolute garbage.
I mean, I kind of like the risk versus reward thing it gives, but yeah, it's not worth it.
The thing is, you can get like another, like just a Destroyer Emblem is only slightly worse in terms of damage without the massive penalty.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, that's like, I cannot recommend Dimensional Soul Artifact like in any capacity. It's only useful if you're no-hitting. Completely worthless otherwise. Like I think that like if you're trying to like not balance around no-hitting, that it could use a buff. Because like as it stands, it is completely useless to anyone else.
Yeah, that's
no
what I
hitters.
was gonna bring up, right? It's like people wanted it nerfed because it's like, oh, well, people use it and it's just free damage. Well, you also...
It's only free damage if you're no-hitting.
You also get obliterated by enemies. Like, there is a thing we're thinking of adding that I'm not gonna say too much about because I don't want to, like, spoil what it's for. But essentially, something that takes your defense and converts it into damage. You'd be doing a lot of damage, but if you get hit, it's like, goodbye, you're done. If the challenge run people think it's too much, they can ban it themselves. We shouldn't balance around that. That could be up to them. That's kind of what I mean by saying that, right?
Yeah, I'd say it's fair.
Also, PSA to people, use the Destroyer Emblem.
Yeah, the Destroyer Emblem is really good for like the whole game.
It's just the best thing ever. You know, it's funny because it says 12% and people think the 15% things are objectively better, but that crit rate buff, ooh boy.
Well, it's only 10% for Destroyer Emblem. Avenger Emblem is the one that's only 12%. By the way, just PSA, never, ever, 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 ever use Avenger Emblem for any reason ever, because that's just bad. Multiclassing is not viable enough in Calamity in order for Avenger Emblem to be worse than a normal class emblem.
I do kind of wish that, like, Terraria in general had less emphasis on armor set bonuses and more focus on, like, the individual pieces, just so that multi-classing was a little more viable. So it's, like, another option, you know? I don't really think it's necessary. I just think it would be cool to have it be a little more accessible in that way, and that's it.
Yeah. In order to change that, though, you'd have to really make something that breaks away from the traditional restraints of what armor can be in this game.
Sorry, bad cough.
I thought you were trying to like emphasize a certain item, like you were about to make a point on that.
I might have been.
You shall see.
Oh, the skull fall's going deep. Oh my god! Oh my god!
Ooh, big fan of the new sound engine, making it so my recall potion doesn't make a sound because I teleport away from it.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, the new sound engine. Oh, it sucks. I don't know why.
Oh! Dude.
What specifically is worse about it?
It's stuff like the recall potions and magic mirrors breaking as small potatoes, but it also just for some reason makes modded sounds not work sometimes. Like if you fought Cryogen lately, you've probably heard what happens there. Not much we can do about it either, which stinks. But yeah, things are good with Cal. I've had a more enjoyable experience being a developer now than I did back in the day. I think things have been nice and civil, and people haven't been wanting to kill each other.
Yeah, Fab did mention to me when I asked him a while ago if like the remaining devs were getting like more harmonious with each other, and he said yeah. So.
Yes, we are.
So hopefully developing stuff is more enjoyable now than it was during the more tension-heavy period of Calamity's history.
Well, that implies that that implies that things were actually being developed during that period of time.
I mean, Drayden update came out, so that's something.
Well, after that, it's like wow, is a void.
Leave it as is. That makes
Get
it
rid
too
of
easy.
the wood.
But yeah, no. Okay, so there's a hole. Shay, go up and to your left a bit. You're getting to go a little while, but like there's a hole kind of in the middle of the sky. You'll see my ball bounce off and ricochet straight to the right from there. Okay. Okay, so one bounce and there it is. Okay, yeah, a little higher. A little too far right, Shay. Down, I think. Yeah, there's like one area. Jeez. Yeah, why does that still work?
Do you guys speak with Fapsol at all?
No, we're not devs, so no.
Every now
I
and then.
have DM'd him occasionally. There was like one conversation that I think I went a little too far on, but like, other than that, I've talked to him a little bit. I've discussed mental health with him, and I think that's why he sent me a friend request. I think that is the only reason I've ever talked to him in DMs is because I talked about mental health once in Calmaine, and he was there, and he was like, yeah, I feel that.
It's funny. A lot of people share that same sentiment. It's like, well, I'm kind of scared of making him like mad. I have never had that fear when speaking to him. I've always been able to easily talk to him, so it's always been like strange for me when I hear that from people. But I guess it's just like, yeah, he's in a, he's owner of the mod.
From the discussions that I've had regarding like balance and shit like that, he's been really mellow about the stuff too. I mean, he's talked about experiences where he's probably been upset at other people as well, like for their dumb ideas, and stressed that, he's gotten dumb ideas from people as well. But, from my discussions with him, he really was pretty chill.
Yeah.
So, it up to be a golf area. Yo, check out the shot. Bronze, check out the shot.
How?
Just follow it.
Oh, well, hold on.
It goes like straight down. You ready?
I'm in the process of balling right now.
Okay.
Wait, this one's going in. Check this. No, please. I'm clipping that. Oh, I see.
I saw someone's ball.
Okay, I'm going back.
Oh yeah,
to...
yeah. Further to your right a little bit.
Hey, what if I shot mortar rounds with a halibut cannon?
Well, then you would create this abomination. Bronze, come on. I need one more block, buddy.
I'm glad we kept the halibut cannon overpowered. I think I may head out if that is okay.
Okay, if you're gonna head out, can we do like a proper outro then, at least?
Sure, yeah.
Alright, so thanks for watching CalCast, I guess.
Wait, I just got back.
There, that's it. That's.
How dare you?
That's all we've got for you this time,
the
I
proper.
guess.
Hey, thanks for watching. Make sure. Did you know a majority of my viewers aren't actually?
Did you know that negative 400% of my viewers are subscribed to my channel? Subscribe now, and I'll give you $5. JFL, before we end, can you like, whenever you're done with that shot,
Uh-huh. What would you like from me?
Could you walk over here, please?
No.
Okay.
Oh, well, shit. Never mind. Okay,
Oh, are we
sure.
doing a group
Hi.
picture?
There you go. Surprise.
Surprise!
I still had God mode on.
Well, that's CalCast. I hope this was at least somewhat worth watching. And yeah, Infernum playthrough one day. Collab playthrough some other day. Who knows? Bye.
One day.